special meeting to order. Please note on your agendas the start time. Christa's lending a hand and also keeping an eye on the desk. First part of our agenda is roll call. Please note that Mr. Janke's present, Mr. Wareham is present, and Mr. Halpel is present.
I'm still present.
Ms. Gardner is also present, but at the front desk. And Tracy is not present and will not be attending any of today's meeting. With attendance taken and a quorum present, the second item on the proposed agenda is the pledge. Kindly stand if able and face the flag and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Mr. Wareham, is there support?
Support.
Mr. Janke, any thoughts on additions, deletions at all? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have an agenda. The next item on our agenda is our public comment session. Individuals will have up to 3 minutes to offer public comment for the board's consideration. Please note that today's meeting is a special meeting and the primary emphasis of the meeting is, or purpose more appropriately, is the interviewing of candidates for the soon-to-be vacant position of Township Clerk. There will be some informational items offered, but it will not be addressed during the course of today's meeting. With that understanding, public comment, anybody that would wish to offer a comment for the board's consideration at this time may do so. We would ask that you identify yourself and you'll be given up to 3 minutes to offer comment. Anybody interested in commenting at this time relative to today's agenda and purpose for the meeting? Please identify yourself and your time will begin as soon as you begin speaking.
Okay, thank you.
Krista?
Yes.
Kristen, could you go between the two flags? Is that
Yes,
possible?
I will go between the two flags. Ready? Okay.
Or even that chair is fine, doesn't matter.
I'll just go, so I'll keep going. Kristen Lortie, Dollar Bay, Tamarack City taxpayer, moderator of Uber Cares Facebook group. Good morning to the board. This is the first meeting that I have been able to attend in over a year. I have been prevented from participation due to high barriers to access to the township meetings. Specifically, no assistance has been provided by the township in regard to remote participation via Zoom. Request is minor as using the telephone to contact me, when I'm out of town, and using the guest Wi-Fi access of the township Wi-Fi, or creating a guest Wi-Fi access have been denied. And as a taxpayer, I find that offensive and unhelpful to myself and other taxpayers and interested parties. So I am glad to be able to say that here in person at the meeting now that I've been able to meet the barriers to access. And special thanks to Cindy with Uber Cares, who has provided our primary gateway to public access. Regarding the topic of this meeting, the notice for it is very short with only 1 day notice. I appreciate that. It is still very short notice for many people in the public. All materials were not provided in the board packet that was posted. Appreciate that they were provided prior to the meeting, but it doesn't give much time for public review. It makes it challenging for meaningful and informed public input. Nonetheless, I did take a look over the materials prior to the meeting because they came early. And I want to say a few things about the decision today. One of them is that we have one person who has applied, and if they were accepted or appointed to the position, would be fulfilling 3 pivotal roles in the township, which is a lot of responsibility for one person and risk for the township. The position requires a high attention to detail. It requires the ability to work with the public, It seems like a very important decision to be making, and so if the decision is made today, I'd be surprised because it's the first time that you're reviewing the applications in person. And I do want to say that while Christa is the person who would be fulfilling all three roles, it's nothing personal against her. I find her to be a competent individual, and I just think it's a lot of hats to wear for one person. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else that would like to offer comment at this time for the board's consideration relative to today's meeting and its proposed or approved agenda?
I'll give a little update.
John Paul, the floor is yours for 3 minutes, sir.
John Paul from Traverse Engineering. I went over there, met with Mark last week on the FEMA project, and we have it out for bids now. The ad went in on Saturday for them 4 little spots. We've been talking about this for a long time. Anyway, so the bids are gonna be due on July 12th, which is a day before your July meeting on the 13th. So I'll have the numbers for you on the 13th meeting of July. One item, I talked with Linda Hansen this morning, the Gooseneck Creek project, which we talked about as far as moving that debris up to where the culvert crosses Woodside Road there. I am gonna put that permit actually in today, so I'll put an addendum out. It's gonna be delayed. There's not gonna be a change in really what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be there's a 20-day notice on that permit. So anyway, if something changes, we're gonna bid it as is, and if the permit, if there's some other change, we'll handle it as needed after that. But she didn't sound like there's gonna be any major issue. It's just something they have to go through with dealing with the floodplain, that you do need that 20-day notice. And there is a $500 fee on that, which Mark, I'll pay, and we'll just get reimbursed later on through the thing on that. But anyway, so we had the bid and haven't had any calls on it yet. I will be sending it out to a list of contractors in the area that we deal with, make sure they've seen it, and hopefully we can get somebody to bid. I don't know how it's been with you, Aaron, on projects, but
Very tough.
it's hard to find people
Very
to
tough.
bid them. But so this is a small enough project. We're gonna push it right till end October to get done. So if somebody can fit it in the fall, it'll work. It's a 4-day, 5-day project really probably to do all of them. So it's not the culvert going into the sand pit is we're gonna bid it with this, since we're gonna be working right there at Sandy Bottom. Obviously, we're just gonna keep it as a different bid item because that's a separate issue with the township, not part of the FEMA project, but we're gonna put it in there with it. So since there is the other culvert they're doing with that, so that's all I got. If you got any questions? Otherwise, I'll be here on the 13th, and hopefully we'll get somebody to bid it.
Thank you. Anything? John Paul, thank you very much.
Okay,
Look forward to seeing you on the 13th of July. And the meeting will be here at the township
Yeah.
office.
Thanks again, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
See ya.
The supervisor's report, the notices that were posted throughout the township and on our website relative to the purpose of today's meeting included financial matters. My intent is simply identify what those are for your benefit and let you know that all of these will be actionable items at our July 13th meeting. They include affirmation of the township's general fund budget as amended for the year, salaries and wages identified on previously distributed tables, start dates for hourly and salaried employees of the township. It's permissible to be retroactive relative to hourly employees, not for elected officials. That would be a forward-looking date. Charts and tables, the first drafts of them are all completed, but have yet to be finalized by having them typed and made more legible. Proposed apartment rent increases are also on a chart that has been developed, but again, it needs to be typed. Existing information, baseline information for your consideration. Water system rate changes both for Osceola and for Tamarack City. Charts have again been updated, but have not been finalized from a typing standpoint. And fire department requests will also be on the agenda. We've previously discussed some of those. New items that will be discussed also on the 13th of July will be the now formalized partnership between the road commission, the county board, and the township relative to road funds. It's a forward-looking agreement. Plans are due with contracts let by February of 2023 for work primarily to be done next year. And then 2 other items of interest. Vet banners are already up in Tamarack City. There are 7 on order for Dollar Bay. There are 2 additional on order for Tamarack City. In Tamarack City, 14 poles have been authorized by the power company, and in Dollar Bay, 10 poles are now authorized for banner use. Lastly, the notice for the Board of Review vacancy was posted and came down today. It was through yesterday. We do have some input, and that will be on the agenda for the 13th to pick a successor to Mr. Ringler, who resigned from the Board of Review recently. So that's a very quick overview of items that will be on our agenda in July. Wanted to keep the board appraised of those. Are there any questions of me relative to the report? Hearing none, we'll get into the primary reason for today's meeting, and that is the interview of applicants for the position of Township Clerk. Is our first applicant here?
Yes. Yep. Okay.
And Aaron, I think to facilitate
I
the,
got a question for you real quick.
please.
No matter who we pick, they have to run, they're still gonna have to run, from what I'm reading in here, right?
Actually, no, they would fulfill the term through the end of it. They have, it's within, if you look at a chart, I believe it's item number,
It says 7 days, within 7 days of the 15th.
you're looking at item 8, second paragraph.
It's
If
on
the
a couple
vacancy
different-
occurs 7 days or less before the 15th Tuesday before the August midterm primary. Well, this vacancy is occurring within just weeks of the August primary and is well inside the 15-week limit. So if this vacancy had occurred, I believe, back in February or March, it would be an issue.
Okay.
Occurring at the end
I
of
guess
June,
I'd have to
it does not.
count Tuesdays, I guess, to
No.
see.
Right. So we're good.
Okay.
The first candidate is here. Ask you to introduce yourself, and
Mark?
we have some.
Mark, is it possible to have him there?
No,
I could change places with him if that's more advantageous to you.
I can't get you all in.
That's fine. I will be more moderating than asking the questions, Cindy, so, and there's a,
Is this being recorded?
Yes.
yes. It's an open meeting. And why don't we switch spots? It'll be a little bit easier.
I would rather not be on camera.
They are open meetings, and the public is welcome, and we have a responsibility, obligation to ensure that if people wish to record, they can use a recorder, they can use a video device, and that's part of what is permitted under the Open Meetings Act, as we understand it, so. If you'd like to occupy that seat,
Well, I think what I will do is withdraw my application.
okay.
all right?
Okay.
So you are formally withdrawing to be considered as a candidate for the position of Township Clerk.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you for your time.
Now, duly noted. Thank you, Dan, for coming. You left your hat, ma'am.
No, that's mine.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Aaron's. Excuse me. Excuse me for a moment.
Look, you had a better looking one there.
Hat?
Timetable is moved up.
I have some good ones.
Dan has withdrawn.
This one is a Detroit Tigers hat and deserves to be raggy looking because they
Cause I'm winning the team right now.
Yes.
Are you ready to go?
Aaron, I read it the way you did, that it's through the.
I gotta start counting Tuesdays, but 15 is a lot of Tuesdays.
I read it the way you did, that they would need to run this August, so,
I'm curious. I have to look into it more.
yeah, I think we do.
I
I was expecting they were gonna have to.
One of my
run.
questions that I added here would be, do they intend to run for the remainder of the term? But I have to know whether to ask that question, I have to know the answer to what we're talking about right now.
You could still ask a hypothetically, if you have to.
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Join us, please. It's Good morning. This is the Township Board, Mr. Janke, Mr. Wareham, and Mr. Halpel, Mark, I'm the Township Supervisor. thank you very much for joining us today. We have moved you up on the schedule. Thank you for arriving a little early. Our intent is to speak with you for up to 30 minutes.
Okay.
We have some questions that we would like to ask, pretty much standard questions. But before we begin the more formal questioning process, if you'd like to take a moment and identify yourself, that would be very helpful.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tajana LaChapelle. I moved up here from Iron River about 3 years ago. We've been in Dollar Bay the entire time. Up till now, I've been a CNA. I've been a CNA for 10 years. Taking care of people, helping people, service industry is my thing. I guess I really want to be more involved with where I live. And I seen this pop up on Indeed, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna apply for this.
Aaron, would you mind starting with the first question?
Well,
Anyone you'd like, sir?
I feel like, let's see here. Let's go with, what is your understanding of the clerk's role?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the clerk's role is. I do know that,
Could you speak louder, please?
sorry, I'm not 100% sure what the clerk's role is. I do learn quickly though, I pick things up very quickly. This would be the first time I've ever actually applied for a position like this.
It's good, it's fine.
If I may follow up on Aaron's question, was it proximity that was a driving factor for you, perhaps?
Proximity is a very nice thing. It took me 5 minutes to walk from my house.
So you're very close by.
Very close. I'm just over by the school.
And you've lived here long enough for the acute understanding of the weather up here.
Oh, yeah.
During this past winter,
Oh, yeah.
where the 300 inches of snow was at times a deterrent for people getting into the office in a timely fashion.
Yeah, like I said, I'm only 5-minute walk, so if I gotta bundle up to make it a 10-minute walk, then that's what has to happen.
So access and availability is relatively easy from your standpoint.
Oh, yes.
John?
Can you describe your financial experience as far as like QuickBooks or accounting software and stuff?
When I worked at Christa Oil, the actual office in Iron River, I was in charge of the mail and processing payments and things like that. So I would have to keep track of what checks actually came in and then go into their bills and pay, like, say that they paid their bill for their propane or what have you. So I'm pretty fluent, I guess, in that kind of a situation. And anything that I don't know, I'm willing to learn or look up on my own and teach myself.
Following up on Don's question, if I may, this requires a significant degree of technical skill from the standpoint of contemporary technology.
Right.
And without going too far down the rabbit hole, I am very reliant as supervisor on other members of the staff because I've been referenced as still stuck in the 19th century. So I rely very much on other people to assist me with certain things. And your background with everything from iPads and smartphones to computers and what programs you're familiar with would be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with it. I can't fix a computer, but I can process myself through a computer. So I can use a computer. I can use my smartphone to look up whatever I need to. I'm pretty good at researching what I need to. Yeah.
Got me beat if you can use a smartphone.
Yeah. I won't go too far into it, but I am dreading the 31st of December.
Oh.
Because my 2 to 3G flip phone that is 11 or 12 years old will expire and no longer be usable.
I actually just had to help my father-in-law with that one.
Thank you. Not alone in that world. I
If you
have,
need me, give me a call, I guess.
well, to conclude the loop, I have a 10-year-old granddaughter who has promised to teach Grandpa how to use all these things. So, Aaron, back to you if I may.
Back to me. So one of the major roles of the clerk is dealing and running the elections for the township. One of the questions that we're asking is, what do you know about the elections, and have you ever assisted with an election, and what's your knowledge of the election process here for the township, I guess?
I don't know what the election process is for the township. I am willing to learn. Like I said, I'm a quick learner. I've never assisted with any other elections, and to be honest, I haven't partaken in any elections. One, because I didn't really know too much about up here when we moved up 2020, those elections. I didn't know much about here. And then back in Caspian, I was more focused on work and raising my son. And I'd always miss election day.
It's okay, not a lot of people are, so it's not a big deal. A lot of people are gonna be looking at this. Same boat. Yeah, not a big deal.
You're a permanent resident of Osceola Township.
Yep.
And a registered voter in Osceola Township?
I'm not sure. That's, yeah, I think so. I gotta check. I gotta double check. I don't know if I'm still registered in Caspian or if I'm still registered up here.
Okay. Don, back to you if I may.
Yeah, the clerk is also here beyond the
Okay,
normal hours.
okay.
How flexible is your time? Are you working hours?
I am not working right now.
As far as
Okay.
weekends and that,
Weekends I'm fine. Like I said, I'm 5 minutes away. The husband can have the child on the weekends. He can do that much. Childcare is not an issue. My husband usually gets home around 5:30, so I'm sure I could find somebody to keep him from morning till about 5:30, and then he'll be home, and yeah.
There are regular office hours for the position.
Okay.
Generally speaking, we're open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning
Okay.
between 9 a.m. and the noon hour.
Okay.
Sometimes requires staying over a little later than that. Would that be a problematic schedule for you?
No, not at all.
The board meets normally second Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
And there are 2 meetings beginning at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Would that start time be
No.
problematic?
No.
Okay.
kind of on that same question, what do you like? Do you like flexible hours, or do you like the standard, this is what you have to work?
I guess I'm flexible in both of that.
Okay.
I like flexible, I like routine.
Okay.
The 9 to noon would provide the routine, the 6 p.m. meetings every second Wednesday provides my flexibility. I'm flexible in that.
Combination of both is what you like.
Yeah.
And you're available, it sounds like, immediately?
Yeah, yes.
So if offered the position, if it were to be offered to you, you would be able to start fairly quickly?
Yes.
Say within the next 3 to 5 working days?
Okay.
Okay. Don, back to you. Or Aaron, did I?
It doesn't matter. One more here. I know you talked a little bit about it, but can you talked a little bit about your role with Christa. Can you expand any more on some other skills that you might be bringing? Computer skills, office skills. Can you expand any more on that and on some of the things that you wish to do, maybe, or?
Computer skills, I'm pretty good with Microsoft Office. I can run through Google like nobody's business. The Google Office too, their docs and stuff. I have used the older computer programs where it was a black screen with green writing.
Oh boy.
I'm encouraged by that.
And yeah, anything that you were to ask of me, if I wasn't 100% sure, I would look it up on my own or ask for help, or I'm really willing to learn.
So, you know, another skill might be, I don't know, did you deal a lot with, like at Christa Oil, did you deal a lot with the public? Obviously, it's CNA,
Yes.
you're dealing with patients a lot, but there can be a lot of public interaction in this, including, you know, if we were hiring, we'd be hoping that it wouldn't be just for the remainder of the term. You'd end up having to go through your own election cycle eventually, and as long as it sounds good. I mean, it sounds like you're saying yes. So I just want you to understand that, you know, there's a lot of public interaction at this position with the community.
The position at Christ its actual title was front desk receptionist, so I was handling incoming customers or phone calls. One I remember was they were heated on the other end because I couldn't find the link to click on the website, and I was able to pull up the website and talk them through it and help them without them getting more angry. They actually felt much better about it. I did work at Ramada as a front desk receptionist, and there's quite a few people that would come through very irritated that we had no snow that year. The snowmobilers, where's your snow? Who do I call about the snow? They were very irritated, not very happy, and with the COVID situation and pool being closed, they weren't happy about that. And I was able to talk them down back to a calm level.
Would travel out of the area be difficult for you, or something that you already anticipated for trainings and or conferences at all?
How far is the travel?
Well, that would depend on the type of training and where it was being held. A lot of the trainings take place locally inside the county, or certainly in the Copper Country.
Okay.
But there are occasions where trainings may be offered in other parts of the Upper Peninsula and may not be immediately available, or may not be ideal over the internet. It just might be advantageous to be present. Would that be an obstacle from your standpoint? It wouldn't happen often, but it is a possibility.
I will make it work, no matter what.
Don, Aaron, additional questions?
I guess my next question is, do you have any questions for us?
What does the township clerk actually entail?
Wow.
I feel like the Indeed application did not prepare me for this.
There is a great deal of material available. If you would like to take something with you,
Okay.
there is a,
You got a copy of this in your mind?
I have a copy, that's what I'm
I'll go over the back of mine.
This is a
Thank you.
quick summation, it's 5 pages, that is an informational forward to the clerk's manual prepared by the Michigan Township Association. And just thought we would have it here as a reference. I know we're nearing the conclusion, but I regret that I did not ask you if you'd like a beverage of some type, water or whatever.
I'm okay.
I just realized
you,
with
though.
water on the table and I forgot to ask, I apologize for that. Again, questions of us that are specific to the position as you understand it. It might be easier for us to respond in that fashion.
Not that I have right now, but if I come across something in here, am I more than welcome to call and ask?
Yes, you are. There is the potential for other openings
Okay.
within the township.
Okay.
We will give your interview and application very serious consideration.
Okay.
if it is possible, there might be other positions that become available.
Okay,
May we retain your information
yes,
for future consideration?
yes.
Aaron, anything else?
Nope, good.
Don? Any final questions for us?
No, I'm pretty good.
I hope that was a more comfortable experience than you originally perhaps envisioned.
You guys are pretty friendly.
Thank you for that.
That's just the front.
Thank you.
How did you say your name again? Is it
Tajana,
Tijana?
yeah,
So
but
you'll say the second T is,
it's kinda like J,
oh,
it's mixed in there.
okay, well,
But I go by TJ.
okay, thank you.
Well, if we may be informal as we conclude, TJ, thank you for coming in. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. If you think of anything as you leave that you'd like to ask, please call back to the office right away.
Okay,
The meeting is, today is actually in two parts. There's a morning session, then we will recess until mid to late afternoon
okay,
for a little shorter session,
okay,
and then conclude the day and today's interviews. So,
okay.
but we will respond as best we can to any questions you may have immediately.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You can try.
That's right.
We are ahead of schedule, obviously, with the first interview being terminated fairly quickly.
No, you don't.
What is the board's pleasure? And the next
All right, thank you.
candidate slash
Well, it's
applicant
nice to meet you. Yeah.
is, of course, available. And we can accommodate her right now in recess a little earlier than originally anticipated, if that's the board's pleasure.
Fine with me.
Aaron, okay by you?
Sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, if you're ready.
We're ready.
We're
Okay.
ready. You wait, this is gonna be great.
I'm excited.
Thank you very much for your application. You're familiar with everyone here, and
I
we're also
am.
familiar with you, so move into purpose for the interview. In a moment, let me preface it by saying that if, the operative word in the sentence is if the board decision is to offer the position to you and you accept, upon taking the position, I'm understanding guidance from the Michigan Township Association
Mhm.
correctly, you would immediately cease being the township treasurer,
Mhm.
and it would open a vacancy in that position.
Mhm.
It is not an at-risk interview for you in that context, because you currently are, until otherwise appointed, the treasurer duly elected for Osceola Township. I wanted to state that at the outset, for clarity's sake.
Mhm. Okay,
I think I got that right, did I not?
understood, you did.
Thank you. May we ask you to begin with why you considered and then ultimately applied for the position of clerk?
Yes, you can. I like punishment. Just kidding. I don't know if I can do that informal.
You can be.
Why did I apply? Well, I mean, as you all may or may not know, I've been here since 2009. And when I first came on board, I was hired as Judy Auders, who was the then clerk, deputy clerk. And I served in that position till roughly 2015. In that capacity, my main task with her was to run elections. So I did most of the background stuff and a large part of the actual daily election items. I enjoyed that job very much. It was, to this day, I still work elections when they come up. Elections, I'm a glutton for punishment. I enjoy elections. I just think the whole process is great. And so with, on the flip side of that, the other side, I do have experience working in almost all of the facets of the clerk position. There's one or two tasks that I've not had experience with that I don't believe would be any issue for me to to quickly grasp, but, you know, with the budgeting side and stuff, I have plenty of experience with that, and QuickBooks and, you know, everything. I worked really well and closely with both Tracy and Judy in my position as treasurer, so, I'm ready for a new challenge, and I'm kinda looking to go back to my township roots, I guess.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron?
It's very difficult interviewing somebody who knows these answers.
Especially when I know she knows all the answers to these.
exactly.
She probably wrote this interview checks question thing.
I did not write them. I typed them, but I didn't write them.
Well, in deference,
And I did not take them home, so I,
she provided considerable assistance relative to the document you have in front of you to make it clear to read and understandable, amongst other things. Aaron, as you're pondering the question, may I?
You can ask anything you want, Mark, cause as I look down this list of questions, it's,
I know the answer.
I know the answers already,
Yeah.
so.
You referenced elections in your background and experience.
Mhm.
New things have come online
mm-hmm,
since 2009.
mm-hmm,
Some may require additional training.
mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with and would be in a position to attend and obtain the necessary certification, whatever, as expeditiously as possible?
Yeah, so I did take the election inspector training for this year, so I am a certified election inspector for the next 2 years. So I'm up to date as far as that's concerned. I know, you know, a lot of the changes in the new rules and how processes and stuff, obviously not to the detailed end of the clerk, which I do know the state requires, additional clerk training, but that would be no issue. And I think, you know, I would be willing to do whatever to try to get that training in before August, if not before August, definitely by November. And I think the county clerk would be willing to work with me, you know, to get August election taken care of for sure.
With an election looming,
Mm-hmm,
it does raise the question,
mm-hmm,
how we proceed, what kind of assistance we are going to need going forward, regardless of who's appointed to the position. You bring a skill set and a background already, but there are still things that would have to perhaps be done by others, as you've implied, is that?
It's possible. For example, QVF is the system that the clerk enters. It's the elector database essentially by the state, and in order for me to get my own username and password, I would have to go through that training again.
Okay.
It has changed considerably since they did a revamp of the whole system, so I would have to go through the whole training again.
Don, Aaron?
How much, and I know you do a lot of it, but how close do you work with the clerk now, or did you work with Tracy? I mean, could you just sit down and do your job, or I mean, or is there still a lot for you to learn?
Oh yeah, I could, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, essentially I helped train her,
Oh,
so.
And you have no problems with the new, call it, some of the new election issues that create extra work
No, not at all.
at this time?
No.
Okay.
I put in long hours as it is. I'm here pretty darn near 5, sometimes 6 days a week, and I'm not afraid of that. And I mean, if you're doing something you actually enjoy, it doesn't seem like work. So there's all like the date, like the weekend before the election, for example. I always look forward to that because I could get other stuff done. So
Okay.
that stuff is not a bother to me though.
The assumption is if asked to take this position, availability is immediate,
Mm-hmm.
but it would require some type of transition.
Correct.
Understand the expectations and the parameters that we would be operating in.
Mm-hmm.
It also requires wrapping up work that you're currently engaged in,
Mhm.
should it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Qualify the comment to make sure that everybody understands this is still a very open process. But if you are offered and accept take how long for you to kind of wrap up current activities at the treasurer's desk?
Well, taxes are going out, so once they're out, there isn't anything considerable that I would need to do. I guess, if I were to make that transition, we would need to talk about that, just because payments will start rolling in immediately, and you don't want somebody new coming in and having to start, have a stack of payments like this, and that's how they take the job. So I think there's a little bit of flexibility, because we have to have someone in this seat and that seat in order to sign checks, for example.
You cannot do both jobs.
Correct, no, absolutely not. So, I guess if I were to be appointed as clerk, that would kind of be up in the air, how we would work that. But essentially, I should be done by Monday with getting, the taxes out and whatnot. Like, that's the biggest task I have.
Perhaps Tuesday, I think Monday's a holiday.
Yeah. But mailing on Tuesday, but like complete in envelopes ready to go.
So the work would be done, but that work would be done regardless, correct?
It should be, yes.
Okay.
I'm waiting for some final numbers. I can't even input it, I'm waiting for final numbers, but once I get those, then I can finally move forward and get the process complete.
You don't plan on leaving us anytime soon, do you?
I do not. Nope.
Just think if there's moving in the future.
I mean, we've considered moving, but within the township, as a matter of fact, just looked at a house in the township, but no, nothing like that.
Aaron?
I'm good.
Good. Don?
I'm good too.
Is there anything you'd like to ask of us?
Nothing I'd like to ask, just, I guess, kind of implore that, should I be selected, well, I guess either way, whether I'm selected or whether we select someone else, we really need a third available person. Really badly need a third available person, just to help pitch in and, be able to take on some of these bigger things that we have to look at. It's just, we have this like insurmountable ball that just keeps getting added and added and added to, and we really need a third person who's gonna be engaged and has time and can help us with that, so I would.
What kind of title will that person have?
Regardless of whether they're treasurer or clerk,
Oh,
whoever
okay.
they are, I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay.
third being, me as treasurer
Right.
and or clerk, whichever it would be, Mark as the supervisor, and then, the
Yeah,
third
yeah.
person, yeah. We really just need, granted, they're gonna have a transition time, and I
Learning
know how that goes. This
Yep.
is not, in my opinion, there's nothing in the public sector that prepares you for this job. You come in and it's just like everything is different. Even if you have a accounting background and stuff, governmental accounting is a completely different thing altogether. So there's definitely a huge learning curve, but I'm available regardless of which way you go. If you select someone else for clerk, I am there 100% to support them and get them into their role and answer questions. If you appoint me as clerk and we get a new treasurer, again, I am there 100% to support them and help them in their role. So I'm flexible and available either way.
You mentioned finances. If I may interject a question that is perhaps just slightly off the primary focus. You've worked very hard to go through the initial interviews and availability relative to our audit. Will that process conclude from your perspective with you as treasurer?
No.
It would not.
If I were to be appointed as clerk, no, it would not.
Okay, just trying to get a framework, so should you be appointed, you would still be available, but you would be in a different capacity.
Correct. And it wouldn't really change
Okay, that's what I was sort of driving at.
how I'm involved, because with Tracy not being in the office, I'm sending her invoices and making corrections in journal entries and whatnot
Okay.
as it stands right now, so
Regardless,
it
it would
wouldn't
be
change.
business as usual to
Correct.
satisfy the questions and provide answers
Absolutely.
to the auditors as needed.
Yep.
Right, thank you. Don, any additional questions from you?
I do not.
Aaron, anything else from you?
I'm good.
Anything that you would like to add before we conclude?
I don't think so. No.
With that said, thank you very much
Okay.
for your application and your participation
Thank
in
you
the
very
interview.
much.
Thanks, Krista.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good decision.
Thank you. We have reached the end of the morning interviews. There are two scheduled for after the 4 p.m. hour this afternoon. It was the only time the other two candidates had available. It is therefore by intent at this moment.
So there's a candidate E.
There are candidate E. There are two that are coming in this afternoon. I apologize, but those were just placeholders, and we were wanted to get the agenda out, indicate that there would be at least 4 interviews. There turned out to be a 5th one. So with Mr. Weinberg withdrawing, I guess we're still only interviewing 4, but yeah, a 5th candidate. Since we have a, if you will, need to stop the process until the other candidates are available,
Move for a recess.
I was just gonna ask him, Mr.
No public
Jay?
comment?
The meeting is not concluding. The meeting is going into recess and will reconvene this afternoon if the motion is passed. So I can address your question as soon as we recess. We have a motion to recess. Is there support? Support it. We have a motion to recess and support. The proposed time to reconvene is 4 p.m. this afternoon. All in favor of the motion to recess, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We stand in recess until 4 p.m. this afternoon.